How's it going, everyone? Brad Smith here with the Relationship Marketing Podcast. I'm joined with my friend Michael Glynn, owner of Glynn Fleet. How are you today, Michael?
Do well, Brad. Appreciate you having me in the studio, and look forward to telling my story and sharing it with your audience.
Thank you for joining me. You have such a cool business, Glynn Fleet. I guess you went after your last name with that business name, huh?
Yeah, so I grew up as the only boy with four sisters, and just wanted to be able to build something with the family name that we can pass down as a legacy, and just kind of represent the family throughout the country as building what I'd learned as a grown up in my brand and the way I work, and share that with my customers as well.
I love that. The relationships that you build with your company, people remember you, they remember your name, and of course, quality of work. I know you're in San Antonio, but you work with companies all over the US, right?
Yeah, so actually, we were talking earlier. Most of my customers are throughout the entire country. I live in a town next to San Antonio, about 2 million people in the whole area, and still have very few customers locally. So it's truly a entire U.S. reach. Yep. And the operations are in place to get the vehicles to people. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, share a little bit with the audience exactly what Glynn Fleet does. I know you offer kind of like a start to end solution for franchises, startups, and businesses.
Yeah, so Glynn Fleet Solutions was built on helping those startups or franchisees that are either leaving a W-2 job. They were the plumber at a company and decided they wanted to go out on their own, which is something that I resonate with because it's what I did. I worked a lot of W-2 jobs, was building apartments or leading software at a big insurance and banking company. And so for me, it's was natural to not only hear their stories, but to share what I'm building as well. So when you go out on your own and looking for that first vehicle or that day, and it's really hard to find not only the processes, but also the money. Yeah. And that's something that we work really hard to do, is to protect your startup funds, your cash flow, and find solutions to where you can acquire the vehicle under the business name, have it all put together, delivered to you, ready to work, and not have to be a guy that's trying to start a business, but also going and shopping for vehicles and finding the best vendors and getting the best results.
The whole start to end solution is what I know a lot of business owners always look for because they don't want to probably even think about it.
Yeah, it's just like what we do with our businesses, right? We have our skill set and the things that we excel at, and we only have so much time in the day. And being able to grow the businesses that the way that we want to, if we don't have someone helping us in those other areas, of course, yeah, we can figure it out, right? There's ways to figure things out, to learn it, but there's people that specialize in certain areas of the business and can help us scale and grow. And then we're helping other business owners grow as well. So uh, that's my mindset. I try to take the entire vehicle acquisition, just the tracking, the whole piece of the vehicles, almost like a fractional fleet manager for a business where, hey, instead of spending your money hiring someone to do all your vehicle acquisition, bills, tracking, maintenance, find funding for the vehicles, whether it's leasing, loan, whatever it takes, just have me do it and go focus on the parts of the business that you want to focus on.
Really like how you actually were in the fields, right? You did the work and now you probably know the pain points. What made you start this and start on your own?
So with Glynn Fleet, I'd done a lot of cold calling and built, and almost kind of stumbled into the franchise world. But I found a customer base that is underserved and really wanted to help them buy a solution. And so once I found that solution and had the customer base of people counting on me, I wanted to be able to deliver those results the way that I thought they should be. And so having control of the process, control of the brand, and the, everything involved in those steps was the reason I went out on my own and decided, hey, there's a need out there. There's a lot of people that want what I have, and the few people I started with were referring me to people across the country and saying, hey, this really takes us off your plate.
makes your life a little bit easier. Yeah. And from there, it just
Kind of goes. So I know you started helping some franchises as well, which was huge. Walk me through the process of that because it was cool how you shared before this interview with me. Franchise, they have to get funding. They need to put funds towards this. They don't want to put all their money towards their fleet. Walk me through how it works with a franchise.
Yeah, so a franchise, talking about a little bit earlier, they're either coming from a W-2 world, they hire an operator, or they were in that service, but they don't have the marketing or the operations or the other pieces to run the business. They're very good at working in the trade or working in the business, right?
Yeah.
So being able to have that support system with the franchise model is key. But when they get in there, they realize, hey, you're buying a system and a territory, and you have your SBA funds, or you borrowed money from your family, or you've done a Rob's program of retirement from your corporate world, and tied that money to invest, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the money involved with actually getting the vehicles for these home service businesses. And some of the other lenders and competitors I work against now, they are requiring 50, 40, 50% down.
Oh my gosh.
So on some of these builds where there's a lot of custom equipment, there's, water storage tanks, power washing equipment, custom updates to the box truck, those things. And that 50% down could be 60, 70, 80 grand out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're trying to start a business and find a warehouse, hire employees, market, all those things that, are taking money out of your pocket, and you have either limited amounts, or you're not going to be generating a whole lot of revenue as you get going and building.
Yeah.
Taking that cash is so important. And so that's where I really fought with lenders, or I guess negotiated is a better term, right? So I worked with lenders in my network and said, hey, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's how I can help in this space and help these newer franchisees get their business off the ground, which is going to help a lender, right? Because if I take $80,000 out of your pocket, making those truck payments becomes a little bit harder.
Mm.
But if I can protect that, 50, 60, 70 grand in their pocket, have that rainy day fund, those truck payments are easier to pay. And then, for me going to those lenders and saying, here's what I'm offering, here's what I want, and here's how I'm going to help you. And the way I help is, if a franchise is selling a territory, or a franchisee realizes it's not for them and they're going to close down, not only myself but the franchisor will find another place for that vehicle. So now we're going to the banks and saying, hey, if for whatever reason this particular franchisee doesn't work out, we're going to remarket this truck within the network, or we're going to find a home for it. So it takes a lot of risk away from them. And by doing that, it allowed us to come in with a lower down payment, better terms. Instead of paying super high interest rates as a startup, you're getting in line with other commercial rates for a lease or a loan.
Yeah.
And just that one problem with protecting the cash flow has resulted in a lot of franchisor brands reaching out to me, kind of becoming the franchise vehicle guy across the country, because of how valuable that is to a franchise system and their franchisees, which is their end customer, right? So they're trying to make the process as easy as possible for them. And if you can show them that, hey, we're protecting this money for you, you're going to have extra cash to get your business started. It really solves a need that's out there. And what I found is the more people that hear about it, the more Glynn Fleet grows by helping more and more people.
Yeah, I tried getting a vehicle through my business before, and I couldn't do it. I think you mentioned you have to sometimes wait 18 months to establish your business before you can even get approved on that, usually, right?
Yeah, so sometimes, you can typically get approved if you have a business and an EIN, but you're going to personally guarantee that.
All right.
So if the business goes under, you're still responsible for the vehicle. And so sign that personal guarantee. Most new business owners know they're going to have to do that, but they want to eventually not do that. And so a lot of times, if you're going after in the commercial space and you're doing it with a personal guarantee, and you're new, you don't have a lot of financials to show, those type of things, it gets harder to get the next one and the next one. And most people set up a business to grow it and scale it.
Yeah. And if you don't do the first couple of vehicles right, it just makes it harder down the road because now you have
Limited financial information. You're just now becoming profitable. And to get to the next stage,
you need 3 more vans or box trucks or flatbeds, whatever commercial vehicle you need, right? Yeah.
And you've been leasing through a company that doesn't report to the business credit. So you have no business credit to
show, and it's like you're starting from square one, right? Yeah. So having the right lenders and products in place that will build your business credit for you, report those on-time lease payments, help you establish that. Yeah. You're not only making it easier to get more
vehicles, but you're also able to get working capital or to get loans to buy a building or any type of financial need you have to grow your business.
Yeah. Because the vehicle piece was done correctly for the start.
So that's things you don't even think about when you're at that point, right? That's where you come in as a consultant, making me aware of maybe things that I shouldn't do and the things that I should be doing. Do you have any things where people are getting taken advantage of? Any stories you could share of maybe somebody that did the wrong thing and you were able to come in and help them?
Yeah, so one that I share a lot that comes to mind, and it's a pretty common mistake, is when people get into business, they're used to buying their own personal vehicles. And they go to a dealership, they sit there for 5-6 hours, whatever. They say we hate that. Yeah, so you're there and you'll get offered
a Diet Coke or something to make you feel a little bit better about spending your whole day at a dealership, right? But you know the process, you spend that time, you suffer the pain, you're going to get a vehicle that day and go back to business, right? And then they'll help you with the financing. They'll do all that in-house. It's pretty much a done deal. You go to the MV, deal with that problem next to get your plates. But most people are familiar with that. And then on the commercial side, they go in there.
They say, hey, I just need a vehicle for my business. They go in, they put it in their personal name.
Because it's easier, faster to get the vehicle. It's easier to get better terms on your interest rate, those bad things, right?
So, I had a customer that
when he went on his own, he got 4 trucks in his personal name. Well, then gets down the road,
starts scaling and growing at a rapid pace. And, the banks are like, hey,
we're not getting any more money for personal. On the personal side, these are commercial vehicles. No commercial credit established. Is CPA insurance, people are telling him it's risky the way that it's set up.
So we were able to actually refinance those in his commercial name,
get them on commercial credit, start building that. And then we're also added 7 new vehicles in the name of the business. And then still customer that we work with today and really working on that financial strategy piece to get him and the risk that he wants. Yeah. Get that off of his personal. And there's some pain to that because you have to re-register it with how many you have, whatever the balances are when you refi it. It's now taxed on a license for that vehicle to do that all over an entity, right?
Mm-hmm. So that hurts a little bit, but getting the risk off of your personal and putting it
where it belongs on the commercial side, establishing that commercial credit was something that you felt was worth it.
And so we set that up for him. But that's something I see very often because
it is easier to shop the way that he always shopped and go get a vehicle and then figure out the rest. And like in this guy's case, right, you're paying 10 to 20 grand in registration fees that if you would have done it right from the start, you wouldn't have to do.
And that's what you don't think about when you're starting your business is, okay, I'm going to start with 1 or 2. But what happens when you need 10 and then 15 and then 20? What's the biggest fleet you've built?
So I had a customer that, I actually cold called him off of a website and said,
hey, I would like to help you with your next people. And it was like, okay, well, I may need 5 of them
3 months. So, okay, well, here's my cell phone. Reach out to me when you're ready. And he reached out 2 weeks later and said, hey, I found out my fleet guy says he needs 10. So we did 10 and then
called me back 2 weeks later and said, hey, we're really growing. I need 20 more. And, we did 70 vehicles for him.
Oh my gosh.
And then he reached out after I started at Glynn Fleet and said, "Hey, I need 60 vans." And the way he was growing and scaling, I didn't have in my lender network a solution for him. And so just talked about the vehicles, what he's trying to do, and pointed in a direction to help them solve that problem. And then actually, I just reached out to him recently because I know he's still growing. He said, "Hey, I have a new partnership where I can get access to the money, um, for because he leases only. Okay, I can get access to the leasing funds to take care of any vehicles that you need. So 60, 80, 100. Okay. So typically I get in with the startup or the newer businesses, help them in that first building out their fleet program, how they want to finance or lease, get that process started and then scale with them. But also, I mean, we'll do 60 at a time. And my goal in starting with the people that the bigger fleet companies don't want to work with because they're too new or they don't have enough vehicles, they don't feel like it's worth their time. I help them from the start because my belief is if someone helps you when you need help and is there to solve a problem and work with you, the big stuff is easy, right? And everyone would love to be, 60 van order or 60 truck order. It's one application, one order. Great. Like that's easy. Everyone wants that. But people don't want it to deal with the one van at a time or one van every 5 year type companies because it's the same amount of work to do one application for a customer for one van as it is a customer to do 60 to 100 vehicles at a time. Okay. And so I know it's a tough spot and I want to help those people out. Not just because I think it can be a long-term relationship and that they scale, I'll get all their vehicles down the road. Yeah. But also it's just, kind of the way I'm wired. It's the way I grew up. My dad was a master electrician. He had one van. He had a bunch of helpers. One helper would come out of rehab and work for my dad for a while, go back in and another one. And then he helped, kids in high school have some summer work. And those guys ended up getting their, electrical engineering license or became a master electricians, have their own shops now. And so it's just the way I'm wired is help people that need help. Yeah. One, because it's rewarding, but two, it can turn into a long-term relationship and also a little bit of your legacy, right? I didn't share this with you earlier, but my dad passed away 2 years ago. He was still working out of his van at 76, helping the community, pulling wire, and looked to be in great health. And then 2 months later, cancer took him. Oh man! And so from there, like, one of the last discussions I had with him, he said, don't worry about building wealth or having all this money and all these things. Like the most important thing you can do is spend time with your wife and your kids and make those memories and build something that when you are at your funeral, you have a really cool slideshow and a bunch of people coming around saying, yeah, you probably don't know this, but this guy helped me when I needed help, right? And so that's kind of the way I'm operating moving forward is like, hey, I want to just, make memories with my kids, which we talked about this. Did some fishing already. I fished with a buddy in South Carolina with my son who's here in the studio with us and show him what the business world is like, meet, top quality professionals like yourself and your team. And just, now we have a story, right? We flew to Charleston, drove to Columbia, fished at Lake Murray, then drove over here, got to see a lot of the countryside together. Yep. Here at the studio, drive back to Charleston this evening, fly out. And it's just something that, he'll always remember and he'll have this as part of there. But that's my goal. So another thing I do, I always make sure if I'm visiting someplace where I know I have a college friend or a customer or those things that I always try to stop and just say hi, even if it's just like, a 5-minute pop in and just say, hey, I'm here thinking of you. Or if someone's name pops into my head, I always send them a text and say, I don't know why, but thinking about you. I hope you and your family are well. Is there anything I can help you with? And just really trying to, make those memories
if I feel a little bit of inspiration or something pops in my head to act on that, because you never know when, that could be your last contact with that person or what they're going through. They may need something. So, that's a little bit about my philosophy. That is on what I do with Glynn Fleet, but why I operate the way I do and why I'm here. And, just kind of what the mission is with Glynn Fleet and our goal of no matter where we get down the road, and I have big plans for what we're going to do, but always helping that start up with one vehicle, right? That's always going to be something that we do because that's when people really need it the most.
Those relationships are so key. I mean, I even saw that side of you come out online. And when you help one person, they might not even become a customer in the future, but you're going to be their go-to referral for everyone they ever meet. You got to go talk to Michael. You got to talk to Michael. And it's kind of cool. I asked you beforehand. I always like to know where you came up with the business name, right? So Glynn Fleet, Glynn is your last name. For me, I'm thinking, oh, he uses it because I always remember people's name. But just share real quick on the legacy behind the business name as well.
Yeah, so I know we kind of joked earlier, like, one, it's a little bit
vanity, right? Because I'm the last in line of the Glynns in my group, right? And having 4 sisters, it was up to me to essentially pass the name on. And I have a son that is actually Thomas the Fifth. We call him Cinco. And so the Glynn part of it was important for me because I want to build something that I feel that I'd feel proud to pass on. And also, there's a little bit of when it comes to building out processes and just the way you operate as a company, having your name there.
Yeah.
Like it's easy if I, called it like, Premier Fleet, right?
Yeah.
If Premier Fleet down the road
does a crappy job, it's like, hey, Premier Fleet is us. Yeah. But if Glynn Fleet sucks, then my son is, has to deal with that the rest of his life. Hey, oh, your dad, he did a bad deal, and my dad, we have like the Glynns, right? They're the enemy.
Yeah. So it adds a little bit extra accountability, pressure to be like, hey, I'm trying to make the legacy and build, my last name and Glynn Fleet throughout the country as an elite product and service that operates the way that I think it should operate, and that, my reputation is on the line, but also my family name is on the line too, right? So
for sure. I always like it because it's, the personal branding's huge, but I always remember someone's name over their company name. So that's something I think everyone always remembers is, especially if you're just a phone call away. Oh, I'm going to call Michael Glynn. That's right. What are some things I want to get into the start to end process? Because you mentioned there's some things I never even thought of. And I'm sure there's some things people don't think of in the future. We know we have to get a fleet. We know we have to get the leasing. But then what? So walk me through start to finish, because I know we have to put some wraps on them. I know we have to maintain them after. I know we got to do all this stuff after. Walk me through maybe if somebody's watching those things maybe they aren't expecting or all the steps they need to take.
Yeah, so I try to make the process as simple as possible to where, if you've already done a vehicle, you can send me the, what's put into the van, the art file, what you've done in the past, what you like, and then I'll put together a proposal and show you what it would cost to do that.
Okay.
And then I shop for the vehicle with my commercial vehicle network to find the best price. And I coordinate that with the dealership groups I work with so that the transportation costs are low. Because now with gas prices where they are, and going from Iowa or North Carolina to Arizona is, it's can be $2,500 to deliver a vehicle. And so really trying to be strategic and get that price point as low as possible. Then once you acquire the vehicle, it's coordinating with the upfitters that are going to put the flatbed truck on, or they're going to put the shelving in, put the partition wall to separate the cab from the back of the van. Then after that, we have to coordinate the install. So we have to get the wrap design approved because even the franchise system where the wrap is pretty similar,
they have to approve phone numbers, QR codes, different items like that. Right?
So don't want to mess a phone number up on a wrap.
Yeah. Then they have to, tear that section off, replace it.
It can cause some issues. So making sure that the design and not overlooking that, just saying,
That looks good. Like really thoroughly looking at it, and I've started making sure that I'm copying on all those.
so that I can look at it in my experience as well and see, okay, hey, are you sure that's what you want? And because, once it's on the van, it's done, right? So
We try to make sure that the proof is good, everything was good. Then most wrap companies in the country will print and ship that material. So I'll have them print it, ship it to the upfitter.
local installers will come to the upfit location, they'll wrap it.
In their warehouse or find a place to keep it out of weather, wrap it, and then clean it up, get it pretty, and then put it on a transport, deliver it to your warehouse.
Right, so that all you have to do is, say, hey, this is Bill's truck now. Bill throws his tools in.
And then starts working there. And then while that's happening, you have temporary license plates like most people are familiar with that I carted a ship. Yep. And then my team is working on getting with the state so you don't have to go and deal with the DND for an afternoon when they're trying to make money. Yeah, but they'll handle the license plates. The license plates will ship out. You just put them on a truck. And then, that's basically the whole process, right? We're going to get the vehicle. We're coordinating the update, the wrap, delivery, and registration. But the other part of it that a lot of people don't know or may not even know is possible, or other
At least if we tell them is,
I don't care who you use. So
No.
a lot of people will say, hey, I got a brother-in-law that does racks locally. Yeah.
I want to support his business.
Great. Send me the invoice or connect us. Yep. And then we'll pay them
for the service, and we'll send it directly to him, and we could deliver the stock.
I lose a little bit of, I guess, quality control in that aspect because I'm trusting an unknown vendor. But if the end customer is happy with the results from that company, then let's keep using it all.
And so the goal for me is to, like we talked earlier, protect your cash flow, make the process as painless as possible for you, and also put all of that into the deal. So you're not coming out of pocket for the wrap. Because a lot of time you need a vehicle with some upfitting
at the dealership, but if you want to go get it wrapped, you're out of pocket there. So now you're putting a down payment on the vehicle, and then you're paying cash out of pocket for the wrap. Well, now your total out of pocket is higher than it should be.
Whereas if you rolled out all that into the lease or the loan or the deal itself, well, now you're only paying
down payment percentage on that total amount. So you're keeping more in your pocket. You said you'll go to the DMV for me? Sold. Bang into my cars through you now.
Exactly. So it is. And that's a thing we were joking about earlier, right? Is people say, it was such an easy process. And like in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, for you, it's not fun for anybody, right? Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole
point of Glynn Fleet. What we do is trying to take as much stuff off your plate that you don't want to be doing and focus on either what you enjoy doing or what you need to be doing to scale your business. Correct. And I think the part that I'm most proud of with Glynn Fleet is not only the service that I provide and what my, the team I'm building is going to provide, but the fact that you're actually not only just taking this off of your plate completely, but it's knowing that you don't have to go out and do this, and then the next time you need one, it's as easy as a text. Yeah, just, hey, take this away from me, do it. And then not only that, but with the network that I'm building and continually improving on,
is you can get the vehicle and the service for less than if you were to go
get it locally. So it's not only that, hey, there's value in you taking this completely off my plate, but also, I'm going to save money on the actual vehicle. And that's something that I'm really proud of because, I look at it as if I'm shopping myself. I want the best quality, the best product, but I also want to pay the least amount I can. And I think everyone's that. And most people understand, hey, I'm going to pay a little bit more for a premium service or premium value. Yeah.
I want to be able to provide that premium service and value, but also help you save as much as possible.
So it's important to me when I shop that I'm getting and I'm building those relationships, that I'm getting the best pricing. So even if it's your third vehicle with me, right? It's not okay. This is a repeat customer. I'm gonna make the highest margin I can make and be good, right? No, this is a time to continue to shop. If I got them from this dealership before, and I have another big relationship with the dealership that I think I could get them a little bit better, and I'm gonna go there and save that money for you. So I know we're all familiar with like the insurance world, right? Where you you go to an insurance agent, you get a really good price on your private auto or whatever. No, and then next year their premiums jump up a lot, and then they jump up again. And most agents are making money on the
A commission on the premium, right? So if it goes up, make it more, and everyone's happy or doesn't complain a bunch, they're making more money. Yep. So they're not incentivized to say, okay, every year,
let's look at what's wrong with your company, see if we can get your premiums down for you and find a good price. And so that's what, I was in the insurance world in the past. I have a, a really hard designation in the insurance world that I got when I was at my previous company before going down. And so that's why I use that example. I know that rule. Get it. And I try to make sure that with the vehicles that I'm out doing, it's, I'm not just cashing checks with easy deals, but it's protecting my customers with, the best pricing and the best product I can get. Every deal, not just, they're a big customer. I know them. They like me. They'll pay whatever. Just it's easier for me to grab one here than to shop it. So I'm gonna just present that. Yeah, I'll actually shop it and make sure it's the best before presenting it.
So that's one thing that's actually really stood out to me in this conversation after knowing you is just watching out for your customer. So if they grow, you grow. If they go out of business, then what? And I think that's really important. You have been working with a franchise, pretty large one, and now they just trust you with, a lot of their fleet. Can you share one case study or just success story of somebody you've been able to help?
yeah. So one of the franchise brands I work with, they have a lot of specialized equipment, and that
Specialized equipment can be almost 50% of what the truck costs. And so a lot of lenders, when there's that ratio of
customized equipment to vehicle, they get a little nervous. And the reason they do is, let's say there's, just for rough numbers, a $50,000 truck and $50,000 of specialized equipment. Well, the truck's worth 50.
So if you default on the truck, for them to go out and auction that off and to get their money back in the repo,
It's really they're focusing on that 50. So then
when you do the deal, they want to, offload as much risk as possible. So they'll ask for a down payment that
pretty much covers the other 50. So you're asking for 50 grand up front. You're basically
paying for the equipment part of it out of pocket again. And when a new business starts, feel like, I mean, most people can relate. And if you're writing check for 50 grand as a down payment
on a vehicle, that your whole business focuses on that vehicle being on the road and performing the service, yeah, then it gets a little scary. And
most businesses, especially on services those days, it takes quite a while to get profitable, even if you're the main operator. But a lot of these franchisees will hire an operator, and they'll run the business, and they'll have someone kind of running
the team operations, which now you have a salary to cover. And so all of these things, make that $50,000 down payment really, really hurt. You're in the hole. Yeah, it sounds like, then it's psychologically, it's tough.
when you're a business owner and you see money going out and nothing coming in. Or very
That difference is big, right? A lot going out, a little coming in. Yep. It does,
it hurts and it does some things to you mentally, right? And so my goal with that is, okay, let me see what I can do to lower that down payment, protect that cash. And so with this group, I was able to talk to lenders into going just 10% down. Like really, it's like you're basically taking all that textile license equipment, wrap, everything, and rolling it into one either lease or loan.
Yeah.
And so now you're not paying your taxes and everything out of pocket over here. It's all 10%. So like on the vehicle side, it's probably actually a smaller percentage of what you're truly putting down that vehicle.
So that's what I told them.
And then I think we mentioned earlier of how I got to that point of where I could offer the lower down payment than what my competitors could offer.
And really, it's the trust that the banks have in the way I operate. And what that means is if something goes wrong with that deal, or a franchisee sells a territory or goes under, that we're finding a new home for that vehicle. So in the bank size, if you can tell a bank, hey,
there's not going to be a repo. And if there is, it's going to be, we're going to do a lot of work ahead of time. So, and to try to keep it off their radar completely is even better.
and so, yeah, I'm really selective in the franchisors that I work with because I have to believe in their leadership team and that they're going to work with me to find solutions because
if I have, let's say I have 10 franchisor brands and I'm working with all of them. And if one of them, just doesn't help me and makes me look bad to the bank, well, now the whole franchise program is that 10% down is in jeopardy because now the bank is saying that we have risk for we didn't think we ever. And so that's what, I'd want to work with as many franchisors as possible, but I'm selective in the groups I use because I have to protect the entire program so that I'm able to provide this lower down payment option.
That's huge. I mean, what a great business. And thank you for sharing all of that. I want to appreciate everyone that's watched till the end here and hearing Michael's story. I'm going to make sure I post all of your links down below. Where's the best place for somebody to reach out to you?
so you can always go to the website. It's connected to
The contact form there is going to get to me. You can always, my business cards have my personal cell phone. You have my direct email. But yeah, I enjoy working with, being involved with every customer. So, and then you can find me. I'm on X pretty often and LinkedIn, and I travel around the countries at different shows. So, if you ever run into me at a show, come say hi and
see how we can help each other.
Yeah, definitely check out his X account. I'll post that link down below this podcast so you can follow him. I love hearing the stories, and I even love when you share the cool raps that you guys do. I've seen some cool ones on there. So thanks again for joining me, Michael. Thanks for sharing your story. Thank you everyone for watching. Make sure you go check out and reach out to Michael and Glynn Fleet and check out his links down below. Till then, I'll see you guys on the next episode.